Greg, my name is Greg Riddle, and I'm the president of APCO International in the United States. And the issue that I wanted to discuss is, should public safety have a dedicated broadband digital network, or should we have shared services with commercial providers, which are already across most of our countries providing voice and data to the public, and in some cases, services to public safety. In the United States, our position was that public safety needed their own dedicated network for broadband. We felt and were influenced by the fact that our biggest carriers of commercial services said that they could not provide us with priority access, or what is called ruthless preemption. Priority access would mean that if we were requesting services on their network, we would get that first beyond a commercial user, which is paying for just regular day-to-day services. Ruthless preemption is a technology, or is a way that you can actually knock somebody off the network if you need services. The other thing that public safety found, and we've seen it over the years, and I'm sure it's happened in Great Britain, where you have a critical incident occur and the networks are no longer available because they're overloaded with people wanting to gain access, call loved ones, tell them they're all right, call friends and family to see what's going on in the incident area. And most recent incident occurred on our East Coast around Washington, D.C., when we had a small earthquake. As soon as the earthquake occurred, everybody was on the network trying to find out what happened, who's safe, who's not safe or injured. And we found that the networks would go down. And in those kinds of issues and situations, public safety first responders would be left without a digital broadband network that they could use in those types of emergencies. The other one was a level 1 hurricane, which went up the East Coast. Level 1 is minimal as far as the strength, but the destruction of the infrastructure, the power for electricity, which needs to be supplied to these network cell towers, failed when the trees were knocked down across the power lines. And again, that is not a type of situation that public safety can put up with when they're trying to respond to serve the citizens in an emergency. So our public safety first responders have convinced our congressional leaders that we need our own dedicated network so that it can be built to a higher standard than the commercial networks are, so that it'll have emergency power if commercial power is lost, and we will not have to contend with the citizens and their mobile devices as they try to access networks during emergencies that first responders are en route to.
Can I just be a politician for a moment and put a couple of points to you that I imagine British politicians will be saying? I guess the first is, why don't we just regulate commercial operators so that they provide better and more resilient platforms? And the second would be, actually, we don't get Category 1 hurricanes very often in the UK. Maybe we should just make contingency for that very unusual situation rather than spending a lot of money on a separate network.
You know, that's a very good point. And I don't know the types of situations that have necessarily occurred here in Great Britain, but I suspect that any time you have a critical issue, irregardless of the power loss that may have occurred during a hurricane situation, you're going to have overloading of those networks because they're only built to a certain level that the commercial providers have engineered their systems to. And irregardless, once they are overloaded, they're no longer available for public safety. Now, it would be fine if you could go back and re-engineer the cell sites and enhance them, put in emergency power situations or generators, and also build them so that they wouldn't necessarily be interrupted if there was some type of natural disaster. In the United States, again, it's a much larger area, and there are millions based on the various mobile providers, Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, Nextel, T-Mobile, they would all have to go back to their infrastructure and build it out to a public safety grade. And they are not necessarily willing to do that, and still it's a capacity issue. They only have a certain amount of spectrum that's available for use, and it's a finite resource that the public and first responders would have to try and access at the same time. So it's a good question. In Great Britain, because of the smaller footprint that your country takes up, it might be more practical to do that. But the United States being as large as we are, and with the networks already being fully matured as far as built out, I'm not sure that they would be interested in doing that to the billions of dollars that it would take these commercial providers to re-engineer.
Okay, thank you very much.